10. Wow, big day.
All right,
Showtime.
it's 6 p.m. I call the Wilmington Selectboard to order on January 21st, 2025. Are there any public comments not related to the agenda?
We see none in the room.
Thank you, Scott. Are there any possible changes to the agenda?
The only change was on number 7 for other business, and that's to select a town meeting informational date if you wish.
Okay. Then the first order of business is to approve the minutes from January 7th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second it.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain? Motion passes. Action items. The select board to possibly approve the annual certificate of highway mileage. Marshall, I believe that is you.
Don't forget to turn
Sure.
on your microphone, please.
Do you need this? Okay.
Oh, I can't prepare.
Hello, this is something we do every year. The mileage of the roads haven't changed. It's what it is. Class 2 roads and class 3 roads are the roads that the state gives us a little money back, and it also which roads we can get grant money for.
As a newbie, can you explain to me what a class 2, class 3 roads are?
Sure. Class 2 roads are defined by, it's by traffic, connecting roads. So class 2, okay, start with state's class 1, if you want to call it that. They got a wider right of way. We don't maintain them, the state does. Class 2, we can get state grants for bigger grants to work on. So that in our case is like Higley Hill, Colebrook Road, Man Road, part of Ray Hill, Lake Raponda Road. So they need to be a connecting road or a through road to another area of town. And a class 3 would be all our other roads in town, meaning they're just roads to houses, whatever. Class 2 road and 3 are pretty much maintained the same. They have to be passable year round, safe, that sort of stuff. I can go in more.
Nope, that works.
It's
Just, yeah, that's a perfect definition. Thank you.
Is it class 2 always paved?
No,
Okay.
no, Lake Raponda Road's not paved. That's class
And
2.
that's a
all the way
class
to-
2. Yeah.
White's
So-
Road too, right?
So what's class 4?
White's Road as well.
White's Road is not, it's a 3.
Goes from one area to the next.
Yep, you have to, so, okay, so I'll start with that too. You can only have a certain amount of class 2 roads, which we are missing a little, so we tried to do Sherry Hill. We've been trying to add on all of Sherry Hill because it connects to Halifax and works as a bypass. They turned us down last year. We're gonna maybe retry again this year because we've done some improvements. So they have to meet a certain criteria to become a class 2 road. And the voters, town people have to approve us to do it. So like White's Road, I believe if we brought that up, that we want to change that to a class 2 road, which could be a bypass, I think we'd have a whole room full of people that got very upset about it. So
Because they don't want the high-speed traffic or they don't want to spend the money.
they don't want the high speed. It's not spending the money.
Okay.
Because there's actually the benefit is the more class 2 road you get, the more eligible you are for grants. But you can only have, and I can't remember the percentage off the top of my head, out of your total mileage, only a certain percent can be class 2.
And what's class 4?
Class 4 road is a town road, but it is not maintained. Well, you cannot, landowners cannot stop people from driving on it. If it's a class 4 road and there's buildings on it, the people are responsible to maintain the road. It's no town liability, but they still have to maintain it. They can't, how to answer all this correctly. they have to, when they do improvements, they have to be to state standards. They can't, or town standards. They can't just do whatever they want. They have to ask permission from the town. The town, we have to give them permits.
What's an example of a class 4?
The upper part of Haystack Road, that where they're putting the condos
Yep.
right now, that's a class 4. Riley Boyd, if you believe it or not, where, I don't know if you know where Riley Boyd is, off of Boyd Hill. You know where
Okay, yep.
Robert Fuller's garage is? You go just past his place, there's a road on the left. The first part of it's class 3, and then it turns to 4. And that goes down to Green Road. That is actually a class 4 all the way down through there. People hike, walk, ride bicycles. At one time, you could drive a car, but there's trees falling.
Huh.
It's just not maintained, but we keep it right away. It's
Okay.
basically, so it could be changed if we want to.
Yep.
Ware Road, the upper end of Ware Road is all a class 4 road. So we have some that's maintained by other people, some that's not maintained at all.
Gretchen is
I have a question. Highway,
You have to come up so John can hear you. Please.
Highway 59, or is it 57? Hoot toot whistle.
9. I think it's 9. Might be 7.
I think,
I don't remember. the-
anyway, I'm referring to
Yeah, I
the
know.
location of the Hoot toot whistle trail. Has anything been reclassified there, or are we
It
kind
has.
of waiting until we
Has-
hear about the bridge?
As my understanding, that's what we're waiting for.
Yep, okay, thanks.
So just if you didn't know it, it's what she's referring to is across from your inn. You've got that nice little bridge. When you walk across that bridge and then walk across the river and then right by the mover, turn and go up the trail, that is actually a class 3 road right to the river.
Really?
Maintained, yes. So we have received a letter once about reclassifying some stuff, but we're right now, until we know what the bypass might do or where they might do it, we haven't done nothing.
Okay. Any more questions about the annual certificate of highway mileage?
Through that
Yeah.
little road.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Hearing none, John.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the annual certificate of highway mileage?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? I think we've had discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain? All right, motion passes. The select board to possibly approve granting Voices of Hope a national opioid settlement distribution through their fiduciary Twice Bless in the amount of $3,162.84 to help abate the effects of the opioid epidemic on our community.
This is something we've been doing right along, probably since 2022. It's a check we've had for a little while, and we need to distribute it.
Okay. Any questions? Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve as written.
Thank you, Tony. Second?
Vince did it.
Oh, okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain? Motion passes. The select board to possibly approve the municipal resolution for a municipal planning grant and a grant match of $2,380.
John, we have Matthew Moore, who is the chair of the planning commission. And I believe everyone has seen the resolution for municipal planning grant. This is something that we have to do every, I believe it's 5 years. The last time we did it, no, I'm sorry, every 8 years. The last time we adopted was October the 2nd, 2018. The town plan expires in October the 2nd, 2026. And the application is due on January the 27th. Once the select board adopts this resolution, it will go to the planning commission, and the chair will then sign once it passes. The name that's missing, I will draw your attention to number 3C, and that name was identified as Matthew Bachler. His title is Senior Planner at the WRC, Wyndham Regional Commission, and he's designated as the grant administrator. And for rural towns, on the next page, for rural towns, the Regional Planning Commission will serve as agent for the municipality.
I did print one with Matt's name on it. Right before the meeting, it's probably on the printer.
Okay? We're chasing it down.
Okay.
So that's the one we want to approve, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
if I don't know if Matthew wants to talk or not.
Matthew?
We've offered that Eric King from the commission, who's been leading the charge on this with WRC and with Gretchen and with Scott. Thanks to him and each of those folks for the help. But I'd be happy to hand this to Eric, who should take any credit and recognition for the work so far and answer any questions that you may have.
Hi, I'm Eric. Been working on this for a little bit, but if you've got any questions, I really don't. It seems pretty straightforward. Thanks, Matt.
Any questions? So I think Christine brought you, Scott, the updated resolution.
Yes, I have it.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the municipal resolution for a municipal planning grant and a grant match of $2,380?
So moved as written and read.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Fitz and Tony. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain. Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. And the work still to come.
Okay, item number 4, Route 9 water sewer expansion funding.
So we're gonna have Christine and Gretchen come up. And Christine will walk you through, we just have an outline for you. And John, this is a follow-up to your question from the last meeting. And we want to be sure that we answer it fully for you.
Okay,
I don't know if you got the last email from Christine.
I do.
Okay, and there should be an outline. She'll walk you through the outline so that everybody can understand it in terms of the numbers, in terms of the cash flow and that sort of thing.
Is there one in here?
No, I just
finished
finished
it. Good job.
So we had a meeting last week, just kind of talking about all the projects and realized that there are several large projects that will be happening this year, possibly. Obviously, the Route 9 East expansion project with the water and sewer. That's a $5.1 million project. The spreadsheet that I have there, you'll see that has water and sewer. Those are the amounts for each of those projects because each of them has their own grant amount, but they add up to that 5.1 million. And then the East Main Street sidewalk may hopefully move forward this year. That's like a $800,000 project just for the sidewalk, but then the second component to that, of course, is the sewer work that needs to also be done there, that we have estimated at $255,000. And then there's the Hoot, Toot and Whistle project that has a grant for the majority of, that's like $327,000. So the total of all these projects, if they proceed on the schedule that we're currently anticipating, is $6.5 million. So this, we are a little concerned about cash flow. So one of the things that we were talking about is doing like a bond anticipation note for the construction, at least of the Route 9 East expansion project. But because there's so much grant money involved in all these projects too, we may actually have to do a larger loan, whether it's a bond anticipation note or whether it's just a regular like line of credit loan. Until we actually have some of the RFPs out and back and have information and more solid, this is kind of our plan at the moment, is that we would do the bond anticipation note, at least for the 3.1 million. And then hopefully the grant monies will kind of come in, and the existing money that we have, my spreadsheet there on the very last two columns shows you like the money on hand, what's in the 1% that's been encumbered or what is in the actual fund balances currently. So I guess that's it. Real
So-
fast, down dirty.
So for everybody, these are reimbursement grants. So the cycle in terms of how they're reimbursed may be quarterly, and that's another concern. And then how quickly we are actually reimbursed. So we don't have a definitive answer for you in terms of how much we would have to take out on a bond anticipation note, perhaps. And that's a year's note. And so that note would come due hopefully at the end of the project, in which case either the USDA loan, we're talking about Route 9 now, either USDA loan or a long-term bond would come in and then capture everything that we had to have on the anticipation note and a certain amount of the interest. If it happens the way it happened the last time for Christine, we may make a little bit of money on the anticipation note because we'll dump that right away into our cash reserves, and we may make, I think currently it's under 3% is what we're making on our funds at TD Bank.
M&T.
I'm sorry, M&T Bank. So if that helps you at all. So it's a reimbursement aspect that is a little bit up in the air, and the fact that, let's say the construction takes off on Route 9 and they do the bulk of it this year, during between summer, fall, and up until probably November. I mean, if that's the largest part of the project, then we're going to need that money right away.
Yes, Tony, I'll try.
On the graph,
Yeah,
do the numbers running left to right, take the top line, for example, Route 9 East, star,
yep,
$5.1 million.
yep.
Does that coordinate with anything else on this page?
So the 5.1 million is the total for that project, which is the two underneath that where it says water and sewer, 1.8 and 2.2. That,
They don't add up to 5.1.
Well, because there's other expenses within the
There you go.
budget.
$1
So,
million
like,
in other expenses?
you need
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
environmental stuff with NBRC, the engineering cost, like there's multiple other pieces than just the construction piece of it.
I was just trying to figure out where the money was.
yep. Well, and this was from my notes from our meeting, so. But those water and sewer has like very specific grant money
I
attached
see.
to them. That's why I broke them out. And to tell you the truth, didn't double check to make sure they added up. I just knew the total project was 5.1 million.
We have to get into the minutia of,
The rest of the budget.
right, like that $1 million we had to allocate to certain line items within our budget.
Okay,
And same thing with the community,
The 753,000,
yeah,
that other one.
yep, that other one.
thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah, a little bit.
And this
Any other-
435, 919, that is the surplus money.
That's the surplus money,
Thank
yes.
you.
Go ahead, John.
John?
Any other questions?
Barker, you gotta come up to the mic though. Barker's here.
I didn't hear a single thing, Barker Willard. You're trying to go for rural development grants, is that what you said, or something?
So we already have funding in place and we have a bond in place. So we're ready to move forward with the Route 9 infrastructure project.
How long is the bond?
We haven't taken it out, but it would probably be a 20-year bond. It's the one that was voted on at town meeting last year.
And that was 3.1.
Percent at that point.
3.1 million.
That was the bond amount.
And what is this turning into? Did I hear 5 million or something like that?
Right, and then so we have grants on top of that.
That add up to the 5.1 million.
I can't hear myself.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah, you just can't hear me back here.
Come sit up front with us.
Right there beside me.
Come sit next to Marshall.
I know, laugh.
John, I don't see any other questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, then I guess we can move on to the next. Thanks, Christine. Thanks, Gretchen. And
Thank you.
just Christine, I actually couldn't open the attachment, which is a regular problem that we seem to have.
Yeah, every time I send you something, I send the same thing to Jessica and then you can open it.
I know. I don't know why that is, but it happens.
Was
All
that-
right.
Yeah, you turn up the TV for Parker.
I think it is.
All right, town meeting warning. The select board to possibly approve the 2025 town meeting warning. Scott?
This is a breakdown of the budget. And so these numbers will all add up to this will add up to the, we're at total budget.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the one that they voted. Is that what you have? Or you have the one that
I believe I do.
Okay.
Can I see it?
So as of that, we took out the visiting nurse because they did not petition, so I took the 6,000 out for that, and then I did make an adjustment on the sworn payroll under the police because it was 32 cents, and I do not like to do a budgeted amount for change, so I rounded that number up. So it's slightly different than that number, but within like $1 or $2.
So the total FY '26 budget is $7,392,996. It does say and 32 cents.
Yeah, I know that said and 32 cents. That's the one they voted.
That's the one they voted. Yep.
Yep.
So these are all the capital funds.
Mhm.
And of course, you're starting with the general fund and then the highway and then all the capital funds. Remember that the mover, the Southwest Vermont Transit, is added at $4,000 this year. They have not been on here before. And we go all the way down to Article 20 is a new one and Article 1 is a new one. And that was to take into account to appoint a town moderator. And in consultation with Ed Adrian, shall the town allow for the election of a non-resident of the town to the position of town moderator, so long as that person is a resident of the state of Vermont pursuant to Title 17 Vermont statutes annotated 2646A. Ed's opinion was there's so very little case law on any of this that it could be done from the floor. And that's just for the moderator. In addition to that, you'll notice in Article 2, it lays out all of the Australian ballot questions and which has to do with town the town and town school district officers by law, required by law. And the question, shall the town vote to rescind the operation of licensed cannabis retailers and integrated licensees, except for those licensed cannabis retailers and integrated licensees operating at the time of any rescission pursuant to Title VII Vermont statutes annotated 863 sub A sub 2, and the polls open at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Excuse
Was
me?
there a question?
Why is what together? So Teresa's asking, why are those together? Why is what together? Right, which is the way we presented it last time. Remember, this is everything that's going to be on Australian ballot. So it's all of the things you normally have on there, plus the question that has to be answered by voters on Australian ballot.
On Article 2?
Yes. It's the same way we did it last year for the bond. And,
John, did you get all that?
Yes, no, I understand that.
and you have the question that will go in your list for Australian ballot. Okay. And we've checked and double checked the numbers and they all add up.
Does anybody have any questions?
So articles,
Yeah, come up.
it's Barker again. So Articles 4 through 18, you're saying are going to, if all approved, will work up to about 7.5 million plus or minus?
7,392,996.
7.3.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
confused. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions?
Hold on.
Oh,
You can't see him. Hold
Question on 18, you have to fund the public lands, fences, capital fund, and for the purpose of construction and maintenance on Lake Raponda Dam. So those are
It's
two
the-
different items.
No, it's the same thing. It's the purpose of the additional money. So normally that amount has been, I believe, $5,000. And we're adding additional.
So the 80,000 is for the purpose of construction and maintenance on Lake Raponda Dam.
That's the purpose of it, yes.
So you really don't need the word "and." It sounds like two different items.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Sounds like you're funding two different items.
Yeah, if the select board would like, we can remove the word "and."
Sure.
And then just a question on 19, the due date or postmarked on or before the due date, is that different or is that the way we've always, is that the language we've always had?
That's the language we started using last year.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you.
okay.
We
I mean-
need a motion to remove the word "and."
I
from
mean,
Article
the
18.
reason "and" is there is basically because it is the public lands, fences, and capital fund. And it's also for the specific purpose of construction and maintenance on Lake Raponda Dam. But if you find that confusing and want that more specific, then the word "and" would come out.
How
Well,
does
we
the board,
ought to
how does
just-
the board feel about removing the word "and"?
John wants to know how you feel about that.
I don't care, but I'm just saying, by reading it like that, you can just say that the entire 80,000 goes towards the
That-
construction maintenance of the dam,
If-
not just whatever for.
Right.
for the
Yeah, if-
fences and so-
If if you take the word "and" out, you're specifically earmarking it all toward the dam maintenance or construction. Yes.
If it's necessary, then that's totally fine.
Or we put a comma. Comma.
1,000 years ago?
Unless, I don't know, Barker. My understanding is no, nobody's really touched it.
Because I don't think any work's been done since I've been here.
The question was from Barker was whether or not that dam has been reworked in the last 12 years.
15 years ago.
I remember a conversation about it when I first started, but nothing happened as far as I'm aware of.
Didn't something happen on Spruce Lake? About that time? Historical?
I don't remember Spruce Lake at all. I remember the conversation about Lake Raponda.
So what do you want to do about this?
So is everyone fine with removing the word "and" from Article 18? Just put your thumb up. Huh?
I think what they were saying is if you remove the word "and," then you're earmarking the 80,000 specifically for that one project.
Was
So
that
then
on-
if you don't do the project, you have
Then
80,000.
you don't have it for any
have to
more
vote on
projects
what
in
to do
public
with it.
roads and fences.
Okey-dokey.
Yeah, we might not want to do that.
Whereas this is you're putting it in that account and you can also use it for this project.
Let's keep the and in for now.
Okay,
We get clarification from Ed. Get clarification from Ed, I guess.
Good, but I mean, I mean, the general purpose is to have more money in there besides just the $5,000 that we normally ask for. I don't have any heartbreak either way because my feeling is that that dam is going to cost a whole lot more than the extra 75,000 that we put in there. So,
yeah, and if anybody has any questions on the floor or in the information session, we can explain why we're upping the amount we're putting in that fund to $80,000. Right?
yes, exactly.
Because I mean, I think we all know that it's going to be expensive to refurbish the Lake Raponda Dam.
Right.
Do we need to take any action as a board on this?
If you want to
Yeah.
leave it alone, that's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to vote on the whole warning itself.
Yeah. So I need a motion to approve the 2025 town meeting warning.
I make a motion to approve the 2025 town meeting warning.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? The motion carries. All right.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
The Municipal Code of Ethics.
So you have a few things in front of you.
Yep.
One, so all of these came out of, I think this, is this the commission's, is this the commission or Vermont League of Cities and Towns, Jess?
It's the commission,
Okay,
it's the State Ethics Commission.
yep. So these are all either requests on how we do it, but although at the end, the ordinance actually was written by Vermont League of Cities and Towns. And then we reviewed it through Ed, and he only made one minor change, which we'll discuss when we get down to it. So if you go on to the commission's, the Ethics Commission's website, you'll find this Vermont Code of Ethics gifts, and it outlines what is de minimis value, that a gift is valued at less than $50 per occasion and less than $150 per year per source. And then it goes on to explain other gifts related to your official duties. And the question is, would you like to adopt this, since it answers the question, can I ever receive a gift? And it's accepted by the State Ethics Commission at this point.
And we need to make a decision with respect to the complaint form, right?
Yes,
Whether we accept or do not accept anonymous complaints.
yes.
Yes, that's correct.
I know when I was chair of the House Ethics Panel and we, handled complaints, we did not accept anonymous complaints because it's virtually impossible to investigate an anonymous complaint. That's just my thoughts.
Let's not accept anonymous complaints then.
Is everybody fine with that?
Yes.
Tony, Charlie?
Yep.
Okay. The only other thing I noticed on the complaint form was, and this is just to make it consistent with the process, is that it says to submit to Tom. However, if the complaint is against Tom, should we have language in there, which I think is consistent with our ordinance about sending it to the town manager?
Can we add that, Jess, on this particular form?
I can try. We'll have to look at some wording on how to put that in there without it being in a negative, I guess. But yeah, Scott and I could input another.
We put some language that.
I just don't want people to bypass Tom and go to Scott with complaints that aren't against Tom because his name's on it and they recognize him.
Right. No, I was just going with what our procedure is. If a complaint is against Tom, then.
Yeah.
Well, do we have to have his name specifically there, or could it just be the chair of the select board?
No, because it's not necessarily just the chair of the select board. It could be an employee. It could be another select person.
No, I mean, instead of having it directly, well, you're right. I guess I was thinking that if we could have it.
And it will change. But no, it's specific. I filled in the blank. So that's exactly how they wanted it, is how it's laid out.
Okay.
But we can look at that. I just don't want them to bypass Tom at the same time because they recognize someone else's name on the form.
Yeah.
But we can look at that.
I was just dealing with the situation if somebody does file a complaint against Tom. It'd be a little awkward if the complaint went to Tom.
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we can fix that, that would be my only suggestion with respect to this.
Okay.
John, I have a question for you, John. How does it, when you were at the state level, how did the process flow on that board, the ethics committee? Where did the complaint go?
Well, the benefit the House Ethics Panel had was we had staff. So, the staff could receive the complaint, but it went to the House Ethics Panel as a whole.
Okay.
So you had a chair and 4 members. So it went to everyone.
Thank you.
And we didn't use an individual email address. We used, I think it was complaints or ethics complaints at.
So it looks like we could probably add words to the effect of any complaint against the ethics complaint recipient would go to the town manager.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing that this whole process doesn't deal with, nor did the legislative process deal with, is when a complaint is filed against the entire legislative body, which could happen. That happened in the legislature with respect to gun legislation. It was basically they filed a complaint against everyone who voted for gun legislation.
I think they would have to make a complaint form out for each and every individual. And identify what their role was, it sounds like.
Well, your role could simply be voting for something. That is an action.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And that's what the complaint was based on in the legislature. So, yeah, I mean, but I don't know how that's very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Parker's got a question.
Sure.
Is question number 3 in your complaint, is that a statewide similar question, or is that a municipal to their own decision?
This is a state form. We didn't create this form.
Right, and it's a statewide municipal code of ethics too.
Okay.
It's a new law.
Well, I remember that from the last one, but it doesn't matter if you're, Wilmington, Morrisville, Highgate, whatever, this form is the exact same throughout the state that every person that would have to fill out. It's not
Yes,
different
Yes.
from any place,
that's
any
my,
township in the state.
that's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, the forms are fill in the blank, so you just fill in your town name and your, like, who your complaint recipient is, but all the forms are basically fill in the blank. So they should all be the same.
All right.
All right,
Any-
so I just added some language to the bottom of that, John, that
Always
just
great.
said, um,
Okay,
complaints against the complaint recipient, can be filed with the town manager.
great. Does anybody have any further questions about the complaint form? All right,
Yeah,
Can I-
one minor thing, there's a typo on the top of the form, municipal.
good catch, Charlie. You're right.
I don't want to probably call it out.
Right under the banner.
Sure.
Right, welcome to the state of Vermont.
We will make that change.
That's funny. I'll fix it right now. Done.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the Town of Wilmington Municipal Complaint Form as amended?
Moved as written and read.
Yes, they
We did.
decided, no anonymous complaints.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain? Motion passes. All right, next is review the disclosure of conflict of interest form. We don't have to approve this because this is a state form, right?
Right. This is a requirement. So if a member of the select board, a public servant chooses to act, and there's a conflict of interest which has been brought up, and they choose individually to continue with the discussion, they don't recuse, then this form has to be made out either in advance or it has to be made out right after the meeting. In other words, like within, I would say within a day, which outlines the nature of the conflict, relationship to the person or business that's involved, the actions you intend to take or how your actions may affect the person or organization at issue, and explain why. And there's a confirmation and signature. So that's only if you have a conflict, you've made it known, and you decide you're going to vote. Now, there are exceptions, and one of those exceptions would be when it's a vote of necessity because you have only a quorum, as I understand it. Let's say, I think an example would be somebody working for a law firm who represents a particular client for that runs a bar, and they're trying to get a license renewed. That might be a vote of necessity in order to get that accepted. It really doesn't have any consequence whether somebody in conflict would vote for it or not, typically, because typically it's housekeeping anyhow. So
Right.
That might be a good example, I guess.
Well, the other important exception is mentioned in the second paragraph. A conflict of interest is defined as direct or indirect interest in the outcome of a matter pending before me or a public body in which I serve that is greater than that of an other person generally affected by the outcome of the matter. So we all vote on property taxes, right?
Exactly.
And so we're all impacted and affected by that, but our conflict of interest is no greater than anyone else's.
So we should not be in anticipation of gifts flowing our way in the near or immediate future? Just checking.
So Jessica has those in her, or I guess I do, but she has them in her folder. So if someone were to present a conflict, we would distribute one of those to be, sometimes it might be quick enough that it could be done that same night or at least within a day. There's also, you can also do I think this is a fill in the blank, right, Jess? You can do it on, you could do it on
Yeah, I
computer.
could send you one or whatever, and you can fill it in ahead of time if you need to.
And who receives them when they're filled in?
The office will just file them. I assume we'll get audited about it at some point.
It may not create an action, it's just a filing.
Yep. Yeah, we just keep them. Can we go back to the first item, the gifts chart?
Sure.
Did we make a decision on that?
What decision do we need to
The
make?
gifts chart. So in our personnel policy, we have a gifts policy. So I think Scott was looking at, are we going to adopt the Vermont Code of Ethics gifts chart?
Was that not part of the?
It is, it's on there.
Where?
No, was that part of the motion or not?
It was not part of the motion.
Okay.
Our current one is 0, correct?
No,
20.
well,
It's 20.
$0. Well, no, I
Up
have
to
to pull it up
25.
and read it.
I think it's up to 25, but
$25 and that's it.
if we want to be consistent with the stated, it would be, if it meets Title III of Vermont statutes annotated 1203G gift exceptions, then we would be consistent with the state. Somebody drops off food, who knows, does it cost $150? Does it cost $50? During holidays, people drop off things to the police department, fire department,
Might
town
make sense to do
hall, things of that nature.
Does it make sense to do it on parity?
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get into trouble with the state or the state ethics commission if we adopt this policy.
It's probably the simplest thing for us to do.
Right.
Okay, do you need a motion?
And if you just adopt their gift chart, if it changes, then it would just be replaced it wouldn't be a constant change in our policy because you're adopting theirs. If that
Okay,
makes sense. We can update, if there's a change, we can update you, but it wouldn't trigger a new update of our policy at the same time.
all right. So can I have a motion to approve the Vermont Code of Ethics gift policy?
I'll make a motion to approve the Vermont Code of Ethics gift chart.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, the motion passes. All right. So that leaves us with,
We're going to adopt the conflict of interest.
So the select board to review and possibly approve the Town of Wilmington Ethics Ordinance. This is the Vermont League of Cities and Towns suggested ordinance. And the only thing that Ed changed, I believe, is in section 5, enforcement under B. And what he added was, in addition to or in lieu of any of those steps, the legislative body may choose to, after affording the appointed officer adequate due process, remove an appointed municipal officer from office subject to state law. So that was, he wanted to be sure that the due process was in there.
okay,
Otherwise, it is the way the leagues has laid it out.
Do you want a motion?
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Make a motion. We have a question first.
No, I'm fine.
Just sit there, Barker. Come for your chair anyway.
Oh, cool. everything that has just gone through, is that not all taken care of back by that line number 3 in the first part? Because you just have agreed to the statewide municipal code.
For the gifts. That was just for gifts though, wasn't it?
I'm just
This is
thinking
the
the
code of
whole
ethics in
code of
general.
ethics.
I thought the one we just did was only for gifts. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm the way I'm looking at it, for your line 6, you got the complaint form and the code of ethics gift chart. Then you had a conflict of interest in your another one, but is that not,
One was a form, one is a form, one is a chart.
what is not
Those
all
are forms.
following under that municipal code of ethics regardless of if gifts
So-
or the forms or whatever?
There is a municipal code of ethics that's in statute and talks about conflicts of interests, which the form that the state has approved, and also talks about prohibited conduct, which includes gifts.
I mean, maybe it's just a whole layering that it has to be, I'm guessing, but it seems like with the first agreement that you all did, that everything else is covered.
That'd actually be the
I'm
last
just,
thing.
This is the ordinance that brings it all together and points to the state statute. That's really what it does, so that we have, so it's known that the town has adopted these, this code of ethics ordinance and investigation and enforcement.
then in that line 3, could you just remove the town of Wilmington and left it as the municipal code of ethics? It's probably
No,
ridiculous. I'm just curious.
That part's just a part of the complaint form, Barker. That's different than the ordinance that we're talking about. The first piece was the complaint form that someone would fill out, and it refers to the municipal code of ethics so that you know what code to refer to when you're saying they violated the code of ethics. You need to know what they violated, so that's why they refer to it. But that's just a complaint form for someone to fill out. Same
That's
with
saying it's from via the town of Wilmington.
it's for anyone that wants to file a complaint on,
Okay.
right, on a board member or, and then the conflict of interest, again, is a form for a board member to fill out if they have a conflict of interest but are still planning to vote on something. They have to fill out a form saying, yes, this is my conflict. Yes, I'm still voting, and here is my reasons. And now this is the ordinance that kind of ties all that together, saying what our steps are.
Okay.
So
For the
it
town.
basically explains how we're going to investigate and enforce the municipal
Right.
code of ethics.
I'm just curious. That's all.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, it's important. I mean, you need a process to go through to actually enforce the
A
municipal.
lot of paperwork.
It seems like there's a lot of extra layers if you just taken out the town of Wilmington and left it as the state municipal ethics, then everything is covered. You said it in the simple words without now making three duplicates for the one that you really need.
Yep.
Good to go?
Yes, thank you.
So is it time for an ordinance then? I mean, for a
Motion?
motion?
Sure.
I make a motion, the town of Wilmington Code of Ethics Investigation and Enforcement Ordinance be approved as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
Nice job, you guys.
Okay, now we're done with ethics. All right, other business.
John, under other business, although it's not legally required, we typically do a town meeting informational date. And I believe Jess, what was the date we were trying to land on? The last select board meeting in February, I believe.
Well, it can be either one because they changed the timing. So it's within 30 days now, not 10 days.
Oh,
So you can have it at either of your February meetings.
With a 10-day warning.
I just need 10 days to warn it still. That hasn't changed. So if you want to hold it before a regular meeting, during a regular meeting, a special meeting.
What's your pleasure type of thing? And if we did it ahead of the meeting, would you like to do the informational meeting first at say 5:30? Or would you just like to put the information meeting at 6 and maybe the regular meeting at 6:15? It's your choice. Or do you want a completely special? We've done special meetings, which is a whole
Totally
separate date.
random date. Yep.
I think we could use the first meeting, the beginning,
the 11th?
and yeah.
How about
do
the
it,
fourth?
the
Fourth.
It'd be-
The fourth?
Maybe the 4th or the 18th.
Yes.
Let's do the 4th, in case we have any issues in between here and then. And 5:30 sounds good.
Vince is suggesting 5:30 on the 4th.
I have a question. Why are we meeting on the 4th?
Because we meet the first and third Tuesday.
Select board meeting.
Okay, gotcha.
February
Got it. I had the wrong calendar in front of me.
Okay.
We're in 2025.
You're number one, buddy. Number 4 on the 4th?
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Therese?
Therese has a fundraiser for the library.
Book it.
For that day.
Okay.
Okay.
Can move it to the 18th.
So close.
The 18th is it's President's Week, so I worry about
Yeah.
and it's also school vacation week, so I don't know
Yeah. That's
how
probably
many
not a good
people
date,
are
but
around that week.
The 4th.
But the
would be-
library won't be busy.
What time is the library fundraiser?
4 to 9 American flatbread.
But either way, we got select board.
I'd still do it on the 4th.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
John, everyone's still saying the 4th.
Okay, that works for me.
Time 5:30?
5:30.
John, will you still be out west?
Yes.
Guess don't matter at all then.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me, but
He's not going to get flatbread.
no flatbread for me.
It sounds like general consent on the 4th.
Drops it off to us.
Are we done with the regular portion of the meeting?
Well, no, we have
Still have,
select board member comments and town manager updates.
Okay.
All right, so we don't have any other business, Scott?
No, that's all I have for
got
you.
any comments, Tony, before you head out? I don't know if that's a good comment.
Do you have any comments, Tony?
Negative. Doing a great job. Love what you've done with the place.
Vince?
Yeah.
Nothing here, John.
Charlie?
I had Bytown Economics meeting on the 9th. Marketing committee update. They are working through their grow grant. They had a meeting, they had people come that weekend, the 15th or something like that, to go through that. The Chamber of Commerce is hiring a social media content creator. Wilmington, we don't need that update. Dover's update. Dover passed their budget to bring it up this year to voters, 7% increase. Their water task force is moving forward with RFPs. And they're at their finish line for the SDR registration. And then also they introduced Bandwago, and they'll have update after the next, they get their data back. Hermitage is having an amazing year. You guys want me to go through all of it? That's pretty much all of it. The important stuff, at least. So that's it. That's it from Bytown, and that's all I have. If I can just say one thing, John.
Sure.
Parker, I'm not sure if you were made aware before the town report comes out, but it was dedicated to your father. Just want to make sure.
We appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you. Really deeply. Thank you. That's kind of a surprise by all means, but my family is very, very appreciative of that.
Like, Tom Fitzgerald was your biggest supporter, well, besides all of us, but he's the one that brought it up, and I know he wanted to tell you, but since you're here, we thought we'd get it done with.
I will make sure to thank Tom for that, and thank all of you, everybody. No, I dearly missed.
Yeah, we were sorry to hear.
Happens to all of us, as they say. Father time ain't catching up with everybody.
There's a beginning and end to everything.
Yeah. So I thank you for that. And I will pass that along to my sister and the rest of my family. Let them know. So. A lot.
John, it's you.
The only thing I think we need to keep an eye on in the legislature, well, there's many things to keep an eye on with respect to the legislature, but I mean, they are talking about the surplus with respect to the local option tax and how that's going to be handled. So I think that's something we just want to keep an eye on. I know VLCT isn't working on it, but you know, that is an important thing for all towns that receive it and how it impacts the pilot program. That's all I have. All right.
I know it's on the top of their list.
Yeah, I think we want to keep an eye on that. I mean,
Yep.
Personally, I think it's ridiculous that the state takes, what is it, 30% of the
30%.
plus charges an administrative fee.
And I think the number is what, over 10 million sitting
Yeah.
there?
It's over 10 million. Yeah. I mean, it'd be one thing to take the fee, but to take a chunk of our taxes and just redistribute it to the state, I don't think that's right. Never did.
John, just my opinion, but isn't that the only reason we have the 1% tax, so the state could raise additional funds?
No, the real reason for the local option tax is so we can raise additional funds. Except
Could have raised property taxes.
But the
Lots of
state
ways we could
decided to
raise
take a
that.
third of it.
You're gonna have him have a meltdown.
It's more tax. I'm not in favor of the more tax. I'm not in favor of the 1% tax. I've never have been.
Ah,
And yet, it's one of the few things that allows us to do some of the stuff we're able to do.
Okay.
Seriously.
it is. It's really
Because
the
you're
only
right,
money we have to do anything with, other than, you know, our general fund goes to, keeping services, going. We have very little money to make any improvements to the town if it wasn't for the 1% local.
I think
option.
because I'm a retailer and I'm administering another tax on the public, it's one of the things that just irritates me. So.
Okay.
Just speaking of tax, can anybody explain how the coefficient of dispersion, the COD 18.23, is how that works versus our 91%? Coefficient of dispersion, that's what it is.
There is a lot of information on the Vermont Department of Tax website. I've been here 8 years now, and it's difficult for me to understand.
Is it a higher number the better, a lower number the worse?
Depends on which one you're talking about, but
The COD.
is that the one that's 18?
Yes.
And so when it goes over 20, that could trigger another townwide reappraisal. We anticipate that number will go down next year. In the event that it does not, here's the good news. We have to do a townwide reappraisal in 6 years. 6 years, I believe, is what they're looking for. The state is looking for, okay? But currently, I think I want to say let's say it's 2/3 of the towns in the state are already required to do townwide reappraisals, and we just completed one. It was called a statistical, but we just completed one. And the likelihood of finding somebody who would do one sooner than 6 years, I'm told, is like 0. But you'll see it, but the state will want us to do one in 6 years.
Then having to have another one because of that almost 20.
Well, we had expected that number to be lower, and I'm told that it should be lower next year. I think we're good for, basically, with everything to be considered in terms of actual finding a vendor to do this kind of work. The chances are you're not going to find one anyhow to do one any sooner than 6 years.
Just because it got changed to the statewide versus the
Just
town.
because everybody, no, just because just because everybody is required to do one almost, 2/3 of the towns in the state were required to do a townwide reappraisal in some form or another. There's just not enough vendors to do the work.
Well, that's probably one that they just made it so that the state does it now, correct? Versus like the board of listers that used to be here.
That law has not changed to that extent yet, but that's the direction they're headed in, yeah.
So being at that 18.25%, that is not so much a great number. If it goes over 20.
If it goes over 20, that's trigger.
That's a trigger. So most states, towns there should be well over 20, but they're not going to get anything done in X amount of time with all our exponential growth we've had. That you know.
You're getting a little too deep for me tonight, Barker.
Not too late for a career change, though.
It's complicated.
Become an appraiser.
It's complicated,
I
yeah.
hate banging my fingers. By using their nail.
Yours,
You shoot it right through it.
your computer.
John, are you ready for me?
Yeah, no, just this whole discussion's raised one other thing that I just want to mention, which is, the Vermont Department of Taxes has the Commercial Appraisal and Legal Assistance Program now
Yep.
for specialty businesses like ski areas and stuff like that, which deals with the whole issue of finding somebody to appraise specialty properties, which is expensive to find those people, and as Scott just mentioned, it may take a long time. We should attempt to use that program where it makes sense. Because as we know, all of us who sat through the BCA appeal process, when we were dealing with some of the unique commercial properties that we have in town, it would have been really great to have a specialty appraiser on our side.
Well said, John.
All right, Scott, that's all I have.
Okay. I don't have much tonight. The only thing I want to say is that we're in the middle of the Municipal Energy Resilience Program grant called MERP. We were awarded $313,155.70 to work with 3 buildings with respect to, what do you want to call it, air handlers, mini splits or heat pumps, and some other things related to insulating doors and things of that nature, replacing windows. And so we're in the process of trying to formulate, Jess and I went to a meeting with the Energy Committee today, and Marshall was there, and we're in the process of trying to formulate an RFP for Town Hall, Memorial Hall, and Highway. Not easy. One of the first steps we have to do is to work with the Vermont Division for Historic Preservation, since 2 of our buildings are on the Vermont Historic Preservation list. And basically they have to do a review of Town Hall and Memorial Hall. I'm told that's at least a 30-day evaluation. Shouldn't be that big a deal, except they'll get down to the nitty-gritty as far as where you place heat pumps on the building so that they're not visible from any part of the street. So those are some of the little things that they require us to do, is make sure doesn't take away from the historic nature of the building, historic value of the building. So it's a lot of questions to answer, and we'll be trying to work on that in the next couple of weeks, get that out, and then work on our RFPs. Hopefully 313,000 is enough money to get all the work done. We shall see. That's all I have.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
John.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks, Jess.
Aye, thank you.
Hi, Margaret.
Oh, yeah.
Night, Barker.
What do you think?
What's up?